Hey there, happy Tuesday. It's me, Curiosity Trader. Hopefully, you're having a great month of July. Just gonna do one video recap for the month of July. Hopefully, y'all summer's going well. Hopefully, y'all trading is going well. For those who've been keeping up with the channel, I've moved back to pretty much back home to really focus on this endeavor more in detail. I'm just going to go over some things in July, what's been going on in the overall markets. Again, everything, I always say this, I'm not a master of the markets, I'm still a student of the game. Everything is for educational only, don't take nothing as financial advice, alright? Always do your due diligence. But again, for those who have been keeping up, I've been doing this for about little 8 years now, pretty much. When I say doing this, I mean immersed with the markets. I'm always thinking of myself as a student of the game. Just going to go over some things in July and what I'm looking forward to in August. I always like doing these to help catalog my trading journey so I can look back and see how far I've grown, and hopefully y'all can learn something from this, okay? But first and foremost, as you know, I took pretty much all of June off and July off. I didn't trade nearly nothing at all. The only stock which I traded was Lucy this past month rather. And NVE were the only stocks I traded. That's the wrong ticker. The only two stocks which I traded were those two particular ones. I've been just taking a step back lately. 5-star. This was a 5-star. My last video, I pretty much nailed this. I said this is a 5-star liquidity trap, and I was dead on right. Of course, I didn't hold the entire way. I pretty much sold right into 16s. I didn't held for $36. Rip, you know. Oh well, it happens. But this is pretty much opening range high break pattern I always trade. And if you watch the channel, it's my bread and butter setup. But I'm just gonna go over the overall market. You know, you have to understand that we are in not like. You have to understand this video is going to be titled "Sitting on Your Hands," and what I mean by that, I mean that one of the hardest things for a trader, especially a newbie, you know, is to the inability to do nothing. You know, the inability to just wait for a setup, and that is very difficult. First off, you have to know what your setups are, and if you don't know what your criteria is, then that's your first error. You have to know what type of trader you are. Again, the patterns I trade and show on this channel may not work for you. I'm trying to help you discover who you are as a trader. Again, it's going to take time. As I mentioned in all my video lessons, you need to put in the work. You need to put in the work on the weekends, after hours, and to find out what you're best at. In the beginning, as I always say, you're not going to know really what you're good at in the beginning. Think of yourself as like a baby. You know, you want to absorb everything, a sponge, but over time, you want to curate it, you want to filter out the noise to focus on what you are best at, alright? And it took me about maybe 5 years to find out what I'm good at, and I always stress this as well. You want to have a database of stock charts of what you're best at, you know? And here's a fun fact, okay? You don't have to try to reinvent the wheel. Everything I've learned is from other people, okay? That's what it is. You take something from a trader, you build it upon your own edge, and that's what it is. You know, you get to make it your edge in a sense, back test, and this is what it takes, okay? Again, I've mentioned this on a lot of videos I've done. I have a database of stock charts I do for every year, okay? For every year, all right? And this helps me know if the setup I'm taking is worthy of a 5-star trade. And as I mentioned, like right now, you know, we're not really in a good. Really, it's going to be kind of boring, you know, the month of June and July. Not that many good setups in my criteria. You know, we're coming off the hot semi-names that have been running. And AI as well. Like, these are the bread and butter setups, you know, that we traded in March, in April, you know. And right now, we're just like we're on the backside of the moves. You know, you have to identify the backside and front side. And most of these plays are on the backside of the move already. And here's another fact. You know, whenever we have a downward market, like we're not downtrending. We hit good. We're basing right now. But whenever we're in a range, we're gonna find the strongest stocks. You know, the strongest stocks often hold during a downward market. Now, again, I'm not saying we're going down. We're not. We're just consolidating. You know, it's a healthy market. We can't go straight up, pull back, nice making new highs. But you want to find the stocks that are basing. Okay, whenever the market's going down or declining, find the stocks that are basing. Find the stocks that are consolidating, because those are the ones where institutions are allocating, and those are the ones that are likely to go higher whenever the market does reach all-time highs. You know, like AMD, for instance. All these semi-names, you know, the ones I mentioned, AMD, ARM, Marvel. This is a 5-star set. This is what we trade here. This is the bread and butter, just like SNDK. Okay, we talked about this on the channel numerous times. The best ones are going to offer numerous entries along the way. It's like stairs. Okay, that's what it is. It's like stairs. And ARM, I called it on the channel as well, 5-star. But of course, look at it. It's on a downtrend. But you just be patient. You know, most of these bounces, like for instance right here, you know, they're not lasting because they're going. Think of it like, look, you have to think of it in terms of, like, I call it these moving averages. You know, the 10-day, 20-day. It's pretty much like an overhead resistance down. You know, where a counterpart on the way up, it's acting as support. On the backside, it's acting as resistance. So now it's just a waiting game for these to bottom, and you don't try to spot the bottoms. You know, I mean, yes, I don't like buying a stock when it's below moving averages because it's just downward pressure. You know, but like AMD, for instance, you know, this one I was watching, basing well, but it gapped down, and it's off my radar. But you get the idea. MU, all of these semi-names, you want to study these charts, because whenever the market heats up again, these are the exact same ones that are going to go again. I'm not saying these particular stocks, but the patterns always evolve, and they always come back. NVTS, same deal. Even metals, you know, metals this past year have been hot lately. It's the exact same patterns that happen. You just have to focus on hot themes. And like right now, we don't really have a hot sector. You know, like HYMC was a golden mine back in the day, earlier this year, when metals were going hot. A lot of them were going hot this past year. Okay, but even oil and gas, you know, what's going on over there. But like, I think most traders are like spoiled because they want the instant, like, they want a hot market, you know, and right now it's just preserving capital, in my opinion. Like, I don't really see nothing worthy, you know. Again, every day I check the markets, every day. So I have two specific patterns. Like, I have, like, of course, like, flags on these stocks, like a stock that makes a big move, like I just mentioned on ARM, you know, focus on stocks that make a big move, that base somewhat, and have another range break. That's my bread and butter. I don't try to buy it. You don't want to buy it here. You want to buy it just as it's breaking off the ranges, you know. Or a secondary play I like doing is an EP. You know, an earning EP off earnings. Like recently we had one, Ring. This has been a 5-star one. 5-star. I missed it. Again, I haven't taken time off, but this is pretty much bread and butter. You know, it had a nice gap up here, but of course it based for months, and they had nice earnings, gap up over the resistance, over these moving averages, and nice continuation. That's really what you want to see. That's a 5-star EP. Other than that, I call them, like, as well, like liquidity traps, which I mentioned on NVVE pretty much earlier this month. Things like that, you know, those patterns, as well, like a an opposite of a mean reversion bounce play. Pretty much like whenever a stock goes downwards, I watch for the potential bounce play on that, because most often than not, stocks don't go straight down. You know, they're gonna have a green day, like this one, for instance. Tomorrow, I'm looking for the first green candle. They had nice earnings, you know, so I'm watching this for the nice first green candle day, over 250 or whatever, and we'll see what happens. But that's really it. You know, you have to focus on what you are best at and just go from there. You know, again, I'm not sure who you are. I don't know who you are, but over time, you're going to understand what works for you. You know, and again, as I mentioned, I don't know who you are, but this takes time, and I hope all this is making sense. Because I know sometimes it does not. I know sometimes I do rant, but for August, you know, I'm just looking for those plays as well. I kind of got chopped up on ENTX. This one I'm watching for sure. Most of these moves, it's a biotech. Like this one as well. Most of these moves I watch for a secondary move if it bases. So on this one, that's pretty much what I'm watching for. Like the best stocks I mentioned always have the first green day, you know, and they base a couple days and go again. And I always urge you keep a database of stock charts. Like these are pretty much a bread and butter. You know, I always watch these, and it's hard to explain, but over time you're gonna become a chartist and you're gonna understand what works for you. You know, and I've tracked so many stock charts over the course of my career, and it's just pretty much waiting. You know, the more you do this, the more you stick around, the more you see plays, the more you're gonna realize how most stocks are not worth your time. And again, the best traders out there just sit on their hands, and when they see it's like when they see free money, they come out. You know, I don't need to trade every day. I'm not looking for a trade. If there happens to be one, then so be it. You know, you have to take a risk, but always define that risk. Always know how much you're willing to lose on every trade, and just go into the trade with your setup. You know, and that's where I'm at right now. You know, I think you're at a good point in your trading career if you can take a trade and take a loss and not affect you. I don't take losing's a part of the game. You know, I'm not afraid of losing. It's the art of war. You know, I'm not in it to win. I'm in it to try. And I know over the long run, given you have a positive like expectancy along with good risk management thresholds in your trading capital, you're going to outweigh the masses and make a lucrative career out of this. And to those who are just getting started, you know, I don't know who you are, but always have a longer term approach to this, you know. And I always say that every time, okay, that most people were spoiled, okay, I'll say this 1,000 times. Most people were spoiled during COVID. I am very grateful I didn't become rich during COVID, because I didn't know what I was doing then. You know, I was just getting in the game then. 2 years before then, but I was still like in college, so I wasn't really focused. But this time frame, this is where generational wealth is made, and we've come a long way since. You know, we had a nice dip here, nice bold run now, but like it's just waiting for the next one. You know, and I don't know when that's going to be. And you always have a longer term horizon, whatever you're doing in life, not only in trading, but anything, you know. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But hopefully August I get back into the swing of things. I'm pretty much here every day now in front of the screens, but I just don't see nothing really. I missed Ring. Other than that, I'm watching tomorrow ENTX. We'll see if it bases, so be it. Over 360, ideally over 420. Big picture. This is a biotech, so I'm watching it. As well with LVWR. More of a speculative play. Dead cat bounce, waiting for that first green candle day to get long. Other than that, EP, Ring, just Drelton day. Ideally continues more. But again, just wait for your setups, alright? And again, I don't really day trade no more. Like, I have day trading stocks here, the big percent movers. There's nothing really worthy of my time. I look at them, but again, there's nothing really worthy of trading. It's just, right now, I think everyone's in vacation mode. Summertime's always slow. Hopefully it picks up in September, August. Other than that, I will see y'all next time.